The Vordak harvesting ship Silent Reaper drifted through the darkness between stars like a metal predator. Its hull was black as space itself, designed to be invisible to the primitive sensors of undeveloped worlds. Inside the massive vessel, Commander Veltar studied the glowing hologram of a small blue planet. Earth, he said, his forearms moving across the control interface with practiced ease. Population, 8 billion. Technology level, barely spacefaring. Military threat, none. His subordinate, Officer Kexhai, nodded his reptilian head. The humans continued to be excellent workers, Commander. Strong backs, clever minds, and completely unaware of our operations. Veltar's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. For 47 years, the Vordak had been quietly collecting humans from remote areas of Earth. Rural farms, isolated villages, mountain communities where people disappeared and no one important noticed. The operation was perfect in its simplicity. How many have we taken this cycle? Veltar asked. 312 specimens from various regions. The Korean peninsula has been particularly productive. Their rural populations are isolated, and their governments blame disappearances on human criminals. The commander pulled up surveillance footage from their latest harvest. Grainy images showed Vordak soldiers in stealth suits moving through sleeping villages. Paralysis beams rendered victims unconscious before they could scream. Within minutes, entire families vanished without a trace. The beauty of primitive species, Veltar mused, is their inability to think beyond their own world. They create elaborate explanations for our activities, rather than accept the obvious truth. On Earth, Detective Park Hyun-woo sat in his small office in Anong, staring at a wall covered in missing person reports. 17 people had vanished from Gangwon province in the past month. All disappeared during the night. All left behind lives that seemed normal and happy. None left any clues. Hyun-woo had been a police officer for 20 years. He knew the patterns of human crime, the signatures of trafficking rings and serial killers. This was different. The disappearances were too clean, too complete. It was as if the missing people had simply ceased to exist. His partner, Detective Choi Min-soo, entered with 2 cups of coffee. Still working on the impossible case? Look at this, Hyun-woo said, pointing to the map on his desk. Red pins marked each disappearance location. Random rural areas, no connection between victims, no witnesses, no evidence. What kind of criminal organization has this level of capability? Min-soo shrugged. Maybe they're better organized than we think. Foreign trafficking rings have sophisticated methods. But Hyun-woo wasn't convinced. He had grown up in these mountains, knew every family and every story. Old people whispered about lights in the sky and strange sounds in the night. Most dismissed it as folklore, but the timing matched the disappearances perfectly. Meanwhile, aboard the Silent Reaper, Veltar reviewed Earth's assessment files. Human military technology was laughably primitive. Their fastest spacecraft barely reached their own moon. Their weapons were chemical-based projectiles. Their governments couldn't even agree on basic planetary policies. The humans show no signs of unified defense capability, Kexhai reported. Our intelligence suggests they're actually becoming more divided over time. Perfect conditions for continued harvesting. The Vordak had built their empire on the systematic exploitation of primitive worlds. Species that hadn't yet developed faster than light travel were considered fair game by galactic law. The Galactic Council maintained strict non-interference policies, but those protections only applied to civilizations capable of defending themselves. Earth failed every test of galactic citizenship. No interstellar colonies, no energy weapons, no quantum communication systems. They were a perfect target. Increase the harvest schedule, Veltar commanded. The mining colonies need more workers, and human specimens are in high demand. Their endurance and intelligence make them valuable, but their primitive nature makes them controllable. What the Vordak didn't know was that some humans have been watching the Watchers for decades. Dr. Kim Tae-min worked in a facility that officially researched atmospheric disturbances. Unofficially, it monitored space for signs of alien activity. The Korean government, like several others on Earth, had been detecting strange signals and unexplained phenomena for years. Dr. Kim had lost 3 colleagues to mysterious disappearances in the past year. All were brilliant scientists who lived in rural areas. All vanished without explanation. The official reports blamed personal problems or accidents, but Dr. Kim suspected something far worse. In his secret laboratory, he worked on quantum communication devices small enough to be worn as jewelry. If something was taking people from Earth, he wanted a way to track them. His 8-year-old son Jiho wore one of the prototype devices as a pendant, disguised as a simple good luck charm. "Dad, why do I have to wear this?" Jiho asked one evening as they walked through the rice fields near their home. "Just in case you get lost. Son, it will help me find you." Dr. Kim didn't tell his boy about the nightmares that had been haunting him. Dreams of his son screaming in a place far from Earth, surrounded by creatures that shouldn't exist. Some instincts run deeper than logic, and every parent on Earth was beginning to feel that something was very wrong. The Vorthak considered humans too primitive to be a threat. They were about to discover how dangerous it is to underestimate a species that had spent millions of years learning to protect their young from predators in the dark. The village of Haho slept peacefully under a blanket of stars. Ancient wooden houses sat quietly along the Nakdong River, their curved roofs dark against the night sky. In one of these houses, 8-year-old Kim Jo tossed in his bed, troubled by dreams of bright lights and strange voices. His father, Dr. Kim Tae-min, worked late in his study, reviewing satellite data that made no sense. For the past week, his monitoring equipment had detected unusual energy signatures over rural Korea. The readings suggested technology far beyond anything Earth possessed, but his superiors dismissed the reports as equipment errors. 3 kilometers above the sleeping village, the Vorthak harvesting vessel Night Hunter hovered in perfect silence. Its cloaking systems made it invisible to human detection, a black shadow against the darker sky. Inside the ship, Captain Zorthak studied thermal scans of the village below. "Excellent hunting ground," he told his crew. "Isolated population, no military presence, primitive communication systems. We can collect a dozen specimens without detection." The Vorthak had perfected the art of silent abduction over centuries. Their methods were quick and clean, leaving no evidence behind. Paralysis beams would render victims unconscious. Matter transporters would lift them to the ship, and memory scramblers would confuse any potential witnesses. Lieutenant Kralvex checked the specimen manifest. Command requests young subjects for the training programs. The younger ones adapt better to slavery. Zorthak nodded. Child slaves were valuable in the galactic markets. Their minds were flexible. Their bodies grew strong under proper conditioning, and they forgot their home worlds quickly. The Vorthak had been collecting human children for years with perfect success. Down in the village, Jiho woke with a start. His room felt wrong somehow, too quiet and too cold. The small pendant his father had given him grew warm against his chest, though he didn't understand why. Outside his window, the night seemed darker than usual. The boy climbed out of bed and walked to the window. The rice fields beyond his house looked normal, but something made him afraid. His father had taught him to trust his instincts, and every instinct screamed danger. Aboard the Night Hunter, the hunting party prepared for descent. 6 Vorthak soldiers checked their equipment one final time. Stealth suits, paralysis weapons, specimen containers, and memory scramblers. Everything needed for a perfect harvest. Remember the protocol. Zorthak instructed. Children first, then adults. No witnesses, no evidence. We are ghosts to these primitives. The transport beam engaged, and the hunting party materialized in the village square. Their suits rendered them nearly invisible, dark shapes that moved like shadows between the houses. They spread out with military precision, each soldier assigned specific targets. Soldier Vextai approached the Kim house. His scanner showed 2 life forms inside, an adult and a child. Perfect specimens for the collection quota. He moved to the child window and activated his matter disruptor, causing the glass to simply dissolve into harmless particles. Gio heard a strange humming sound and turned to see his window disappearing. Where glass had been, only empty space remained. A figure in a strange suit stepped through the opening, speaking in clicking, chittering sounds that hurt his ears. The boy opened his mouth to scream, but the paralysis beam hit him before any sound emerged. His body went rigid, muscles locked in place, but his mind remained terrifyingly clear. He could see everything, hear everything, but could not move or speak. The alien creature lifted him easily, speaking into a communication device in its clicking language. Other figures appeared in the room, examining his father's papers and equipment with professional interest. What the Vorthack didn't realize was that Jiho's pendant was not just a good luck charm. Dr. Kim had built quantum communication devices disguised as simple jewelry, hoping to track any unusual disappearances. The pendant contained a powerful transmitter that activated automatically when taken beyond Earth's atmosphere. As the transport beam lifted Jiho toward the waiting ship, the quantum beacon began broadcasting his location to every satellite and monitoring station on Earth. The signal was unlike anything in human communication systems, designed specifically to be impossible to ignore or jam. In his study, Dr. Kim's equipment suddenly blazed with alarm signals. Every screen showed the same impossible reading. His son's quantum signature was moving away from Earth at incredible speed. For a moment, he stared in disbelief, then ran toward Jiho's room. The boy's bedroom was empty, but the walls showed strange scorch marks and the window had vanished completely. Dr. Kim found no sign of struggle, no evidence of human intruders. It was as if his son had simply been erased from existence. But the quantum beacon continued transmitting, its signal growing weaker as it moved farther from Earth. Dr. Kim realized with growing horror that his worst nightmares were coming true. Someone had taken his child into space. At monitoring stations across Korea, Japan, and China, technicians received the same impossible signal. A human quantum signature was leaving Earth's solar system, traveling at speeds that defied known physics. Within minutes, emergency protocols activated in secret facilities around the world. The message spread through classified networks to every government, every military leader, every scientist who had spent years preparing for this day. Earth's children were no longer safe, and humanity was about to discover that some lines should never be crossed. On the Night Hunter, Captain Zorthak reviewed the night's successful harvest. 12 human specimens, including 5 children, now rested in containment cells. The operation had been perfect, leaving no trace of alien activity behind. He had no way of knowing that this harvest would be their last, or that humanity was already preparing its response. The emergency alarm screamed to the underground facility beneath Seoul at exactly 0347 hours. President Yoon Jin-soo woke to find the security chief shaking him urgently. Within 20 minutes, he sat in the deepest bunker in South Korea, staring at information that changed everything. "Sir, we have confirmation," General Park reported, his voice tight with controlled anger. "The quantum beacon signal is authentic. Someone has taken Dr. Kim's son off planet." Around the oval table sat representatives from 12 nations, all connected by humanity's most carefully guarded secret. For 50 years, Earth's governments had been preparing for this moment. They had detected alien signals, tracked mysterious disappearances, and built weapons that officially didn't exist. How many others? President Yoon asked quietly. "We're receiving 17 more beacon signals from the same location." Dr. Lee Min-young answered. "All Korean citizens who disappeared in recent months. They're alive, but they're not on Earth." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. For decades, they had suspected that something was taking their people. Now they had proof, and the proof was breaking their hearts. General Morrison from the American delegation leaned forward. "Operation Guardian Angel is now active. Every classified project, every theoretical weapon, every experimental spacecraft goes operational immediately." In the past, such a declaration would have taken months of political debate. Now, with children's lives at stake, the decision took 30 seconds. 12 nations spoke with one voice. "Bring our people home." Dr. Kim Tae-min stood before the assembled leaders, his eyes red from sleepless nights tracking his son's signal. "The beacon is still transmitting. I can tell you exactly where Jiho is located." His voice broke slightly. "But there are other signals now. Hundreds of them. All children. All terrified." The quantum communication network had revealed the horrible truth. Earth's missing people were scattered across dozens of worlds, held in facilities that could only be described as slave markets. Men, women, and children sold like livestock to alien buyers throughout the galaxy. We have the technology to reach them, Admiral Chin reported. The Aurora Project ships can be ready in 30 days. President Yoon turned to his military advisors. What about weapons? The plasma cannon systems are functional, Colonel Park Jin-woo answered. Kinetic bombardment platforms are online. Quantum disruption torpedoes passed all tests last month. For 30 years, Earth's brightest minds have been developing weapons under the cover of scientific research. Fusion reactors designed for deep space exploration could power devastating energy weapons. Asteroid mining equipment could punch through any known armor. Communication satellites doubled as targeting systems for planet-killing missiles. The aliens have been watching primitive Earth, but primitive Earth had been watching back. What's our timeline? President Yoon asked. First strike capability in 48 hours. General Park answered. Full battle fleet deployment in 1 month. Around the world, the transformation began immediately. Secret factories hidden beneath mountains opened their doors. Research facilities that studied theoretical physics suddenly started building weapons of war. Civilian engineers found themselves working on spacecraft that had existed only in classified blueprints. In Nevada, the USS Retribution took shape in an underground assembly facility larger than most cities. The ship had been designed as humanity's first dreadnought, intended to fight enemies among the stars. For 3 decades, it existed only as plans and prototype components. Now it would fly within weeks. At Baikonur Cosmodrome, Colonel Park Jin-woo supervised the installation of quantum drive systems into converted cargo vessels. Each ship carried a message painted on its hull in 12 languages. Return our children. The world's greatest secret was no longer secret. Humanity had been preparing for interstellar war since the 1970s, building weapons and ships in anticipation of the day when someone would threaten their families. That day had finally arrived. Dr. Kim worked 18-hour shifts refining the quantum tracking system. His son's beacon provided not just a location, but detailed information about the facility holding him. The structure was massive, designed to process thousands of slaves from dozens of different species. It's not just humans, he reported to the Command Council. They're taking children from primitive worlds throughout this sector of the galaxy. We're not their only victims. This revelation changed everything. Earth's military planners realized they weren't just rescuing their own people. They were potentially liberating thousands of children from species that had no way to fight back. Rules of engagement? Admiral Chin asked. President Yoon looked around a table at leaders from every major power on Earth. Parents, grandparents, people who understood that some things were worth any price. Anyone who harms our children dies, he said simply. Anyone who helps them dies. Anyone who stands in our way dies. No negotiations, no mercy, no exceptions. The vote was unanimous across all 12 delegations. As the meeting concluded, General Park pulled Dr. Kim aside. Your son's signal is getting stronger. We think they're bringing the children to a central processing facility. Dr. Kim nodded, his hands trembling with rage and hope. How long before we can reach him? 2 weeks, the general answered. Maybe less if we push the construction schedule. For the first time in days, Dr. Kim smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Above them, converted cargo ships began launching from secret facilities around the world. Each carried the same message broadcast on all frequencies. We are coming for our children. Anyone holding them should surrender now. The galaxy was about to learn why humans had survived as predators on a dangerous world, and why threatening their young was the deadliest mistake any species could make. The Earth Defense Fleet emerged from quantum jump space like thunder-breaking silence. 12 Aurora-class destroyers materialized in perfect formation around a massive dreadnought Retribution, their hulls gleaming with weapons that had never been tested in real combat. Behind them came 8 converted cargo ships, now bristling with experimental cannons and missile pods. Commander Sarah Phillips stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the alien processing station grow larger on the main screen. The facility was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, with docking bays that could hold hundreds of ships. Thousands of lights flickered across its surface, like stars. Target confirmed, reported Lieutenant Kim Soo-jin from the tactical station. The quantum beacons are definitely coming from inside that structure. Phillips nodded grimly. She had been chosen to lead this mission not because she was the best strategist or the most experienced commander, but for one simple reason. She was a mother. Every person on every ship in the fleet understood what drove them across the stars. All ships. This is Retribution. Phillips broadcasts on open frequencies. Vordhack Station. You are holding human civilians against their will. You have 30 seconds to release them unconditionally, or we will take them back by force. The response came quickly, transmitted in broken English mixed with clicking alien sounds. It was laughter, followed by weapons targeting systems locking onto the human fleet. They think we're bluffing, Lieutenant Kim reported. Commander Phillips watched the countdown timer reach 0. All ships, weapons free. Show them what humans do to child stealers. The battle lasted exactly 6 minutes and 17 seconds. Earth's weapons technology, developed in secret for 30 years, proved devastatingly effective against alien defenses. Quantum disruptor torpedoes tore through the station's energy shields like they were made of paper. Kinetic bombardment systems, originally designed for asteroid mining, punched perfectly round holes through facilities' armored hull, but it was a precision that truly shocked the defenders. Human targeting computers identified critical systems with surgical accuracy, disabling weapons and shields while carefully avoiding areas where prisoners might be held. Every shot was calculated to minimize harm to potential hostages. The Vordhack had built their defenses to fight other alien civilizations that followed galactic warfare conventions. They were not prepared for enemies who had spent centuries perfecting the art of killing each other and had now turned that expertise outward. Within minutes, the station's defenses were silent. Emergency lighting flickered across its damaged hull, and atmosphere vented from dozens of breached sections. But the facility's core remained intact, protecting the thousands of prisoners inside. Boarding teams, prepare for assault, Commander Phillips ordered. Remember, our people are in there. Every shot counts. Lieutenant Kim Soo-jin led the first wave of Marines through the station's shattered docking bay. The Vordhack security forces tried to mount a defense, but they had never fought humans before. Earth soldiers moved with a combination of military precision and parental fury that overwhelmed the alien defenders. The Marines advanced through the station's corridors with methodical determination. Each sealed door was blown open with shaped charges, revealing more horrors than they had imagined. Children from dozens of different species huddled in cells barely large enough for animals, their minds broken by months or years of captivity. "Sarge, we got the human section," Corporal Park reported over the radio. 87 people, including 12 children. Kim Soo-jin ran through the damaged corridors toward a human holding area. When she reached the detention block, she found rows of cells containing people she recognized from missing person reports. Adults sat in shocked silence, unable to believe that rescue had finally come. But it was the children who broke her heart. They cowered in the corners of their cells, too frightened to respond to human voices. Months of alien captivity had taught them to expect only pain and fear. In the smallest cell, she found a boy clutching something against his chest. He looked up at her with eyes far too old for his 8-year-old face, and she realized he was holding a small pendant. "Joe?" she whispered in Korean. The boy nodded slowly. "Are you here to take us home?" "Yes," Kim Soo-jin answered, her voice thick with emotion. "We're all going home." As the rescue operation continued, the surviving Vordhack commanders sent desperate transmissions to their fleet headquarters. The messages painted a picture of impossible human capabilities, weapons that shouldn't exist, and tactics that defied everything they knew about primitive species. The humans were not primitive, Captain Zorthak reported from his damaged command center. They were hiding their true capabilities. They were waiting. But the warnings came too late. Earth's fleet had already identified 17 other processing stations throughout the sector. Each would face the same choice: surrender the prisoners or face complete destruction. The liberation of the Kepler 442b facility marked the beginning of humanity's expansion into galactic politics. But it also established a simple principle that would reshape interstellar law. Children were off limits, and anyone who forgot that rule would face the unified wrath of Earth. As the rescued prisoners were transferred to the medical ships, Dr. Kim Tae-min finally held his son again. Ji-ho was thinner than before, marked by experiences no child should endure, but he was alive and safe. "Dad," the boy whispered. "The bad alien said nobody would come for us." Dr. Kim held his son tighter. "They were wrong, Ji-ho. Will always come for you. Always." Behind them, the Earth Defense Fleet prepared to jump to the next target. The hunt for humanity's missing had only just begun. 6 months after the first rescue mission, the Galactic Council chambers buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 400 species filled the vast circular hall, their different forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes under the artificial lights. At the center podium stood a single human figure, calm and confident despite being surrounded by the most powerful beings in known space. Ambassador Lee So-young adjusted her translation device and looked out at the assembled crowd. She had been chosen for this moment because of her diplomatic skills, but also because she was a grandmother. Every word she spoke would carry the weight of humanity's absolute determination to protect their young. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's audio systems. "I come before you today to announce the establishment of the child detection protocols and to request formal recognition of Earth's sovereignty." Council leader Zephi, a tall creature with 6 arms and silver skin, activated his speaking platform. "Ambassador Lee, your species has been spacefaring for less than 1 standard cycle. Surely you understand that galactic law requires a more gradual approach to membership." Lee smiled the same way she might smile at a grandchild who had said something foolish but harmless. "With respect, Council Leader, we've been spacefaring for 50 years. We simply chose not to announce our capabilities until someone threatened our children." She activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. The images showed Earth's current military deployment across the local sector, battle fleets positioned at strategic jump points, monitoring stations in 47 star systems, and defensive installations that hadn't existed 6 months earlier. "The Vorthack hegemony no longer exists," Lee announced matter-of-factly. "Their entire fleet has been destroyed, their leadership tried for crimes against sentient life, and their former territories now fall under Earth protection. We have also eliminated the Nexery Syndicate, the Frex Collective, and 16 other organizations that participated in the child slave trade." Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. These have been some of the most powerful criminal organizations in known space, reduced to nothing in mere months by a species most delegates had never heard of. "But we didn't come here for a conquest," Lee continued. "We came to establish a simple principle that apparently needed clarification. Children are off limits. Any species, any organization, any individual that harms a child under our protection will face the full military might of the Terran Federation." Council leader Zephi's silver skin darkened with concern. "Ambassador, your species cannot possibly enforce such protocols across the entire galaxy. The logistics alone would be impossible." Lee's smile widened slightly. "We're not enforcing it alone. We've made contact with 62 species whose children were held in the processing facilities we liberated. They have all requested membership in our child protection network. Combined, our alliance now represents almost half the biological diversity in this sector." The holographic display changed to show a map of local space. Green markers indicated worlds that had joined Humanity's Protection Alliance, while red markers showed the locations of destroyed slave facilities. The pattern was clear. Earth had sparked a revolution that was spreading across the galaxy. In the observer gallery, Dr. Kim Tae-min sat with his son Ji-ho sleeping peacefully in his arms. The boy still had nightmares, but they were becoming less frequent. Recovery would take time, but they were home and safe. That was all that mattered. The child protection protocols are not a request. Ambassador Lee stated firmly, "They are the new reality. We have proven that some lines should never be crossed. We hope the Council will choose to work with us rather than against us. But either way, the children are safe." Council leader Zephi consulted with his advisors through rapid hand signals. After several minutes of heated discussion, he returned to his speaking platform. "The Council recognizes the effectiveness of your methods," he said carefully, But surely you understand that threatening established powers could destabilize the entire galactic community. Council leader, Lee replied, "We didn't threaten anyone. We simply responded to threats against our children. If protecting kids destabilizes your community, then perhaps your community needed to be destabilized." The chamber fell silent as delegates considered the implications. Earth had not only proven their military capabilities, but had also exposed the moral weaknesses of the existing galactic order. How could any civilization argue against protecting children? "I call for a vote," Lee announced. All in favor of recognizing the child protection protocols and granting Earth full membership in the Galactic Council. The vote wasn't even close. 400 species voted unanimously in favor of humanity's proposal, not because they feared Earth's military power, though they certainly respected it, but because the alternative was admitting they supported harming children. As the session concluded, Council leader Zephi approached Ambassador Lee privately. His silver skin had returned to its normal color, and his 6 arms moved in what humans would recognize as a gesture of respect. "I must ask," he said quietly, "how long were your people truly planning this?" Lee considered the question as she gathered her materials. Since the first human parent looked up at the stars and wondered if their child was safe out there. Some instincts transcend species, Council leader. The galaxy just learned what happens when you threaten something humanity will die to protect. Young Kim Jio opened his eyes as his father prepared to leave the gallery. "Dad, are the bad aliens all gone now?" Dr. Kim looked out at the ships bearing Earth's insignia, vessels that would carry the promised protection to every corner of known space. "Yes, son, and they're never coming back." The age of humanity had begun, built not on conquest or greed, but on the simple principle that children deserve to be safe.